From time to time, I like to make a video that gets me texts and emails from friends that are like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" So earlier this month, it's been a few weeks. I probably should have recorded this before now. But anyway, earlier this month, I did this video. Many of you probably saw it on the main channel. It was called Space is Way Scarier Than You Think. And it's all about the fear of space, astrophobia. It was a very different kind of video than what I normally do. And it's always funny whenever I do a video that's slightly different in format or style or whatever. I'll get these comments from people that are like, I love the new format. I should be thankful that they're saying they love the new format and not you suck. Go back to what you normally do. But it's just kind of funny when they call it the new format just because I tried something a little different, as if now every video going forward is going to be in that format, which is obviously not the case. Oh, goodness. I know this isn't your favorite. Here we go. Zoe wanted to get in on the video. Hello, Zozo. She doesn't like being held. Even if I'm rubbing Betty? Anyway, I wanted to talk about it. The video did really well. I got some of the best feedback I've gotten in a really long time. And I don't know, it just kind of made me want to do a quick little TMI to sort of follow up on it a little bit. Can you see? Sorry, Zoe's stealing the show down here. You can see a little dog butt. Poke you in the dog butt. So the whole reason I don't think I've ever actually done. Yeah, I really don't think I've ever actually done a faceless video before. I've always been face on camera, and I've flirted with the idea for a long time. Partly because in the last few years, especially, there's been a lot of like outside of YouTube things that I've been working on. Really big projects, really fun, cool projects that, you know, I don't know if I'm going to be doing YouTube forever. At some point, I might want to transition into something that's not on YouTube. Although YouTube just keeps getting bigger in terms of like being an entertainment hub. There's a whole conversation there about how like I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I landed on YouTube, and I was just kind of like, I want up on YouTube. But then like filmmaker friends of mine now are having a rough time, and I'm doing okay. So. Maybe I landed where I'm supposed to be. But anyway, my point is, there's a lot of stuff outside of YouTube it's opportunities that have come my way. And I've always been curious about like whether or not it would save me time to be able to do just voiceovers on faceless videos, which that is an entire genre of video that's on YouTube. It's a valid thing. So that's something I've been flirting with for a long time. And then earlier this month, as anybody who's been following this channel especially, is aware, I had this, well, there's still a little bit of a spot there. I had that spot that I had to treat on my forehead. And I was sort of preparing for the possibility that, I wore a hat in a lot of videos, but I was preparing for the possibility that I might not be able to be on camera because of the thing. And let's be honest, as I get older, there's going to be more places that need to be treated. There's going to be more random, awful spots that need to be covered up. It's just how it is. So for the longevity of the channel, for the possibility of doing things outside of the channel, for time constraints and whatnot, I thought, why not just try to do a faceless video for this one? Now, the irony is that by the time I got around to actually recording this VO for the faceless video, this was kind of okay. it was cover-upable by makeup. So it's just kind of funny that by the time I got the faceless video done, I didn't necessarily have to do the faceless video. I found a way through it. But anyway, I did the video. And the response to it was shocking. No, seriously, like the comments, I might have to just pull up some comments and go through them, but that's kind of weird. But the comments that I got on this video, and I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that it was faceless. It was the fact that it was the subject matter, I guess maybe the perspective that I brought to it or whatever. But it got some amazing feedback. I got comments from people. I got a comment yesterday, and it's been nearly a month, from somebody saying that this was the best video they've ever seen on YouTube. I'm not trying to claim that I made the best video on YouTube. I'm just saying that somebody else seems to think so. Not gonna stop him. Sorry, I'm just gonna go through some of these just because they continue to blow me away. I mean, this was only 7 hours ago. Everything outlined in this video is the exact reason why I'm so intrigued and love space and astronomy. Amazing video. A brilliant pondering on the terrifying nature of space and existence. Well done, Joe. The scale of the universe and everything in it is completely incomprehensible. Brilliant video, even made me tear up a little. This legit made my deepest, most inner fear resurface. Well done. That quote about the pale blue dot is one of my favorite quotes of all time. I'll get to that in a second. Absolutely timeless. Was this supposed to evoke uncontrollable sobbing? Because if so, well done. Please make a lot more. The feeling of horror and wonder is next level amazing. More, please, more. More, please, more. I am still crying after watching this video essay. Truly one of the most beautiful Joe has ever created. I've said for years, like, I kind of have the heart of a comedian. I love to make people laugh. That's like what I do. Whenever I see somebody in person, it's like my job to make them smile. I kind of do that a lot. But as an artist, as a filmmaker type, it's so much more rewarding to make people cry. I've said that for years, and it sounds like I'm mean or something, but like when people laugh at a lot of things, but when you make somebody cry, that means you've really touched something inside of them. I don't know. I'm starting to gravitate back toward films a little bit more. I watch a lot of YouTube, as you can imagine. It's kind of my job, but I'm starting to feel like we need to be feeling more. A lot of the YouTube that I watch, it's explainers, it's educational stuff. There's not a lot of stuff that really evokes emotion, you know? But we are emotional creatures first, far more than logical creatures. And sometimes I feel like, I'm just talking for myself here for a second, but when I watch a lot of YouTube videos and not a lot of stuff that evokes emotion, when I appeal to logos more than pathos, if you will, I start to feel, I don't know, a little cold, a little void, a little empty. But then I'll watch a movie or something, and a very basic movie will get me a little choked up, you know? And I realize, like, I'm an educational guy. I do educational content. I do informational type stuff, explainers and all that. But, like, I feel like we need to be tapping into emotions more. Maybe I'm alone in thinking that. Maybe some people would think that we're a little too emotional in the current modern world. But the fact that so many people connected with this is very validating to me. It's very rewarding. As you guys know, I have writers that help with the research and the writing on a lot of videos. This was one of those videos that I just wrote completely myself. I did all the research myself. I just kind of had my own through line of philosophy, if you will, that I just kind of followed, and I wrote it out. And it's just very validating when I share something that's that much just me, and I get that kind of response from people that say that, you know, it touched them in that way, that it spoke to something that maybe is inside of them that they haven't expressed or that other people don't seem to quite get to or whatever. It's just a very validating feeling. I don't know of a better word to use. It makes me feel like, I don't know. It makes me feel like there's something valuable inside of me that is worth putting out there. There's a lot of times in the 10 years I've been doing YouTube when I have not felt that, when I felt the opposite of that. But this is one of those times when it feels very valuable, or very, very validating. And this is a lesson that I just keep learning over and over again, that when you share pieces of yourself with the world responds in some way. Assuming that the part of yourself that you're sharing isn't awful, it's usually a good thing. And I also kind of wonder how much of that is, I feel like YouTube in general is going to move a bit more toward, you know, authenticity, vulnerability, that kind of thing, because we are so inundated with AI content. To find something that actually, like, you connect with, another person's vulnerability, that you also share that vulnerability. It's, I guess it's a validating and rewarding thing for the audience as well, you know? It was nice to see a lot of comments that compared this video with, say, Astrum, which is a great channel. I don't have the cool British accent like he does. I got a lot of comparisons to Carl Sagan, which is always a plus, which I also expected, because I read the entire Pale Blue Dot speed. And by the way, I went back and forth on that because Carl Sagan's Pale Blue Dot essay is just so perfectly written that, okay, there were two different things. One was I wanted to bring it up. I wanted to talk about it because it fits so perfectly into what I was talking about. But I was on the fence about, like, do I read the whole thing? Do I read just a piece of it? Do I just share Carl Sagan's reading of it? Because his, you know, you've all heard it probably, the vocal rendition that he gives to it is just, it's so perfectly Carl Sagan in its inflection and everything. And I've heard it so many times that it felt like kind of weird for me to just read it. I wound up reading the whole thing for a few different reasons. I just wanted to speak to it really quick. First of all, it felt almost sacrilegious. That's too strong of a word, really, but it felt wrong to not share the whole thing in its entirety because it's just so perfect. He did such a great job with that essay. I didn't want to just share one piece of it. It felt incomplete because it's literally incomplete. I didn't want to just do his voice because I didn't want to, because it's a decent chunk of the video. It's not the shortest essay in the world. I didn't want to take up I didn't want to take up a large part of the video with literally just sharing something somebody else did. That felt a little wrong or a little bit off. And I guess there was a part of me that, since I was doing a voiceover thing, I wanted to kind of play with my own vocal performance of sorts. I wanted to see, like, could I do a vocal performance of this essay that is remotely on the same page as Carl Sagan's? I'm not saying that I did. I don't know. That's up for you guys to say. And you don't have to flatter me by saying that I did. But I wanted to just see what I could do with it, you know? So, and also, by the way, I don't know who owns, like, the copyright on Carl's actual voice, right? I didn't want to wind up running into some kind of copyright issue or content ID issue, because that's definitely a problem on YouTube. So for all those reasons, I wound up just reading the whole thing. And I guess nobody really complained about it. I think I saw a few people that were like, why didn't you just use Carl Sagan's voice doing it? Well, that would be why. Partly for content ID reasons, but partly just because I just kind of felt weird just putting somebody else through that much of the video. By the way, one thing about this Pale Blue Dot photo that I could have talked about a little bit in the video, but it just felt like a side tangent, so here we are. So this photo, I used to always think that I don't know where I got this from, but I always thought that was shot from the other side of Saturn, and that the sunbeam, the mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam, in Carl's words, I thought that the sunbeam was one of Saturn's rings. I've always thought that, and it's kind of a miracle that they got this shot the way they did of the Earth. It just happened to be captured in this lens flare. But no, as I say in the video, the picture was taken past the orbit of Neptune. Like, it was way out there. It was like pretty much on its way out of the solar system when it turned around and snapped this photo. And it just happened. Like, what are the odds of this? I have no idea. But because it was facing back toward the sun, it was getting sun flares, or, light flares from the sun. Lens flares, I guess. Sorry, that's the word I'm looking for. So yeah, that's a lens flare from the sun, super zoomed in on the Earth, but facing toward the sun. Any person who's ever used a camera knows how that works. But it just happened to be that the planet Earth was in the middle of, like, this lens flare, basically. So when he says a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam, that's basically what it is. And by the way, the photo that was taken of Earth, it wasn't just a photo taken of Earth. It was a photo of, like, all the planets that were visible to Voyager as it was on its way out. They call it the family portrait of the solar system. So as you can see here in... you can zoom in. You can zoom way in. All right. So this was like the collage of all the different photos that were taken to capture the different planets. And I guess you can kind of see where they were. So the S and J, Saturn, Jupiter... Earth. Oh, so yeah. Okay. So Earth and Venus were in this right here. So it's super zoomed in to find Earth. EV. Jupiter is over here. Saturn is over here, and Uranus and Neptune way back over here. So you can see where they are in this by the letters that are on there. So I guess Mars didn't wind up in this, though. Mars was hiding. Mars is sneaky like that. Does this mean that I will be doing more faceless videos? Possibly. I never really thought much of my voice, and that's why I've never really done a lot of voiceover work. So I was kind of curious how well it would go over if I did a voiceover and it was just my voice and not my beautiful face that people are looking at. Again, that's another validating thing, I suppose. I've always had reservations about my own voice, and to have a voiceover video get that kind of response, it's a good feeling, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I guess the lesson here, well, there's two lessons, is that people aren't going to tune away just because it's a voiceover video where I don't show my face. So that's good. That is an option in the future if I'm melting off other parts of my face or I'm off doing something and need to just record the voiceover. Of course, I'm still writing the whole thing, which takes up a good chunk of that time. And the other lesson, which is the one that I just keep having to relearn, is that when you share vulnerable stuff about yourself, other people share that same vulnerability. And it's like a magic trick. It makes people feel seen. I also want to point out, I talked to my therapist about this a little bit, and he was like, have you noticed a theme in this? In the sense that, like, this video did really well, outside of the fact that it did really well. It's a video about, like, existential anxiety, existential angst. I always talk about existential dread, and dread might be the too strong of a word for this, but existential angst is definitely a thing. The oldest and newest rocks in the world, places on Earth, video/film that's on its way. There's a lot of it in that. I was told by one of the editors that was working on it that he started off kind of bored by the thought that he was going to work on a documentary about rocks, but by the time he was done working on it, he was like, I think I'm having an existential crisis. And definitely existentialism is a thing that it's literally in the artwork for the channel. There's a quote from Business Insider from a long ass time ago of them saying that it's a comedy channel that gets way existential. I don't know. I guess that's my thing now. I guess it always has been my thing on a certain level. I don't know how I landed here. I don't know how I'm a funny guy that tells people that their lives are meaningless. But I don't know. I think something that I felt a little bit in making that was that maybe it's kind of an important message right now, is we're all so divided and there's so much anger in the world and there's so many finger pointing and, there's just so much anger amongst people about our current moment that we lose the perspective of everything else that led up to this point, going back thousands, millions, billions of years. I don't know. I'm starting to think that this perspective, this whole existential kind of thing, not to fluff myself up too much, but I'm starting to feel like it's an important perspective for people to grasp onto. Because in all of our little, as it talks about in the pale blue dot thing, and all of our little contrivances, all of our little problems that we have with each other, it's easy to forget how rare and fragile our very existence is, And I think if there's anything that comes out of my talking about all that and my thinking and reflecting on all that, I think it's that perspective that sometimes you got to step back a little bit and just be thankful in some way for the fact that existence exists, because it is not guaranteed. There were a million different ways that things could have gone that would have led to a planet where we did not exist. Anyway, I wanted to take a minute and talk about that video. I wanted to thank everybody for their wonderful responses, and maybe I'll wax a little more poetic in videos in the future. At some point, I'm sure I will jump the shark and lose everybody, because that's how this works. Anyway, I think that's all I got for now. Just wanted to chime in, share all that. Hope you guys are all doing great. Signing off in the awkward way that I always do. I never know how to end videos. Anyway, love you guys. Have a great one. Talk to you soon.